Hello everybody and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be talking about something that might be just a little bit controversial, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on this matter down in the comments section below. But anyways, I'm going to be talking about why I do not use version control during prototyping. So to bring everyone up to speed, version control is a way that you can save older versions of your code and kind of revert back to them if you need to. The most popular kind of version control service would be GitHub, and it's an online repository where you can upload your code to it, and it'll keep track of a history of all the different versions of your code. So again, if maybe you took a feature out or changed the implementation of something, but later wanted to go back to that, you could go through kind of your version control history and then pull that code into your current project to have that implementation of it. And properly using version control is something that you must do if you're working on a larger project by yourself or working on a project with multiple people. Because if something was changed or deleted and then it started causing other issues in your program, you could always go back to that implementation and then bring it into your current project so everything kind of starts working again. However, there is one phase of development that I completely avoid version control altogether, and that is the prototyping phase. Now for game development, during the prototyping phase, this is where you're going to be trying a bunch of different things out and going through all different kinds of implementations of different game mechanics. Again, seeing what works, seeing what feels right. And oftentimes you're going to be going back and forth between a couple different implementations of things. As you start to evolve other parts of your code base, you want to see how everything works with these different implementations. So being able to quickly deactivate parts of code and reactivate other parts of code is really key, in my opinion, for the prototyping phase. And so that's why instead of version control, I mostly just comment things out. So I'll write out a bunch of code, and then if I want to do it another way, I'll just comment out that block of code and then write another implementation above it. And then if for whatever reason I wanted to go back to the old implementation, I could just put some comments around the new implementation and then remove the comments around the old implementation. So now it's working up the old implementation, if you can follow along. And so it's extremely quick to do this. It's just a couple keystrokes to change the comments out. So speed is a huge thing for me during the prototyping phase because I want to be testing out as much things in as little time as possible. And I know it doesn't take all that long to commit something up to GitHub or restore some older changes, but I mean, it is just a couple extra steps that I have to do. And the way I see it, commenting things out and then uncommenting other things is just a much faster way of pretty much accomplishing the same thing during the prototyping phase. Now doing this is going to make your code very messy. You're going to have a bunch of commented out code that's not really doing anything other than taking up space. And so it's not really a good practice to get into. This is definitely not something that you should be doing frequently in development of your final game. But during the prototyping phase, you're testing things out, and more importantly, you're testing out different combinations of things. So the quicker you can kind of switch back and forth and interchange those parts, the quicker you're going to get to your desired end result. And on the off chance that I do end up deleting some section of code that I might end up wanting to go back to again, and I don't have version control set up, so I can't go back to that place in time and bring that code back in, well, I'm kind of the mind of if I could do it once good, I could do it again a second time better. And so kind of along those lines, most of the time when I'm prototyping something, it's in a different project than my final game is. So again, that's just a little bit extra work that I'd have to do to create a GitHub repository for the prototyping project, when I'm just going to end up ditching that anyways when I move over onto the final project. So it really doesn't matter to me how messy the prototyping project gets during the prototyping phase, because I'm just going to be taking the things that work and implementing those better in my final project. But yeah, so those are pretty much the main reasons why I avoid using version control during the prototyping phase. Mainly because I don't really see a benefit for it. I just don't think it's worth kind of going through that small little extra effort for the potential benefits that it brings. But yes, after the prototyping phase, when you start development on your actual project, definitely use version control 1000%. It is an absolute must. And that is advice as much to myself as it is to you, because I definitely don't use version control as much as I should. However, when I do implement it and I am using it correctly, it has saved my ass a couple times. So absolutely make sure you're using things like GitHub. But anyways, that's just about all I have for you in today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. Also, feel free to subscribe to the channel for lots more videos on video game development. Of course, if you have any questions for me or suggestions for future videos, feel free to leave those down in the comment section below. Also, I'd love to hear what you all think about my opinions on version control during the prototyping phase. Let me know if you agree, disagree, and why. But anyways, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.